You know, the power of prayer is so underrated. In this generation today, prayer is like, I guess the best way to say it is like the most taboo thing. Like, nobody does it. There's no reason to do it. You're hated on for doing it. It's like prayer has no meaning nowadays. And I'm here to tell you guys, man, prayer is so much more powerful than you could ever imagine. I'm not going to give the full story because, of course, I want my best friend to be able to tell his testimony um, on his own. I don't want to ruin the chance for him to be able to come, to the light and be able to tell his own testimony. I don't want to ruin that because, that's a very special moment to be able to tell your testimony of how you came to God. But I'm going to use part of his situation to explain how powerful prayer really is. Now, my best friend used to be a Satan worshiper, and he had pentagram upside down tattooed on him to represent the devil. He's even told me that, like we have guardian angels, he had guardian demons that he felt were the main ones that caused him to feel the way he did a lot of the time or do the things that he did. And he was just really in a bad situation. He ripped up the Bible on a daily basis. He blasphemed God. He would just do so many bad things, and he was just so hateful towards the world, so uncaring. Nothing mattered to him. And literally 3 days ago, because this stuff happened, no, 4 days ago. Yeah, 4 days ago, everything started, and then it happened 3 days ago. I just got back from my honeymoon. I recently got married last Saturday, and I was gone on my honeymoon, all week. Well, 2 Saturdays ago. I got married on the 5th. And I got back from my honeymoon this past Sunday that just passed. And my brother called me, and he was just asking me how the honeymoon went. We're goofing off. We ain't talked in a while. With the wedding and stuff, I've been super busy, and it's been hard to to kind of just chit chat and hang out with people and stuff. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I don't even know how the conversation got led to God. But our conversation went from just having fun, him poking fun at me, now that I'm married, life ended, blah, 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 the just goofy fun stuff. And the conversation just somehow ended up on God, and he started just asking me questions. And it was odd because I never would have expected him to just come out asking these questions. And for me, it was weird because I had been praying. I had prayed and I had talked to people, and people were like, well, talk to him, tell him how you feel, that you love him, but you just don't want to be associated with that, blah blah blah, talk to him and try to convert him, try to get him to come over, all this stuff, people all in your ear, blah blah blah. And I talked to two of my my good friend, the one that y'all have seen on the channel, Rake, and I talked to my wife's dad, and they were like, well, Cody, being your best friend, you may be the only positive influence in your life, so you can either try talking to him, or you don't want to just give up on him. Don't just say forget it, there's no point talking to him, but you want to try to talk to him, you want to try to bring him to Christ, before you just give up on trying. And so I prayed, I was like, God, if I'm meant to be the one to do this, give me that opportunity. I'm just going to trust your will. And, I fully prayed, I was like, I don't know what is supposed to happen. I don't know what your will is. I don't know what you have planned. But I only prayed once. about that situation. Of course, I prayed. It's like, Lord, please bring Robert back to you. Please please show him a sign. Please give him something. I would do that type of prayer. But the biggest prayer of just like, look, Lord, I don't know what to do. I'm giving this to you. I need your help to show me what to do. If I'm meant to be the one to do it, please help me. If I'm supposed to send him somewhere, help me figure out what I need to do. And I prayed, for God to show me a sign, for him to help, for him to bring Robert out to me if I'm supposed to be it. And well, it got to the point that after that prayer, we talked a couple of times, and then we stopped talking for a couple of weeks because the whole wedding stuff started going on, to where I didn't have an opportunity to really talk to him. I didn't have an opportunity to be around him. And then I get back from my honeymoon, and all of a sudden, this just pops out of nowhere. It's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking about, he just starts asking questions. It wasn't like, so, hey, I wanted to talk about God, but I don't want to be. It's like, it just went from one conversation to just, I'm talking about, boom, hit hard. And he just started asking me questions. And for the first time that I've ever been in, that type of situation where somebody will ask me a question or starting, inquiring things about me from the Bible and trying to understand stuff. For the first time, I had every answer that I could think of. I was able to answer all his questions. And then he was like, okay, well, I'll give this a try. He's like, teach me, help me to understand, and I will give it a shot. And so we ended up praying before he got off the phone, and we hung up, and I ended up calling I ended up calling Jake and being like, look, dude, I need you to pray for him. Ask some people to pray. I finally broke through to him, and I don't want the devil to attack him. And in the end, after me and Jake talked, we ended up having like 14 people praying for him to be able to get a sign, to be able to hear his, God's message. And then the very next night, me, him, and Jake had a three-way on the phone, and we were just talking about God, talking about everything. I had to get off, and Jake stayed on the phone and talked with him for a couple of hours. And then the next day, I get told that, hey, I gave my life to Jesus. And it's just like, what? Like, he went, like, literally a couple of days ago, he ripped the Bible apart because he hated it. He didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Till he was completely saved and gave his life to Jesus in 2 days. In 2 days, he gave his life to Jesus. Technically, if you want to get technical, it took 1 day. Because that night, when he talked to me, all the way to the next night that he got saved, but it was in the time span of 2 days. But technically, it took 1 day, and he was saved. And it was, I sadly missed him getting saved. My friend Jake was the one who helped him, confess to Jesus and get saved. And I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was upset. I was like, man, I had to miss my best friend getting saved. Like, so I was sad, but it's still an amazing thing, because he don't understand. He's like, I have no idea why I even wanted to ask you about it. It just happened. And that's the confusing part to me, is I didn't understand where it came from. He didn't understand where it came from. And when he gives you his testimony, I promise you that you'll understand, because, I'm going to tell him, put it all on the table, talk about the past, to this, and how you became, to what you are now, to where you're giving your life to God, so you can see, because he was a lot like me, except I never Satan worshipped. I was just atheist. And it's crazy to think that me and Jake, when we were on the phone and praying and talking about getting a bunch of people to pray, Jake made the comment. He was like, man, watch tomorrow, this dude's going to be a saint. We got so many people praying for him, it's crazy. And then the next day, he gave his life to Jesus. And some people may be like, oh, that's just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. Well, it's not just a coincidence, because my wife's best friend, which is like her sister, so like my sister-in-law now, she's had a tumor on her spine. I think she said it was up at like the top, like near the back of her neck or something. And she was told that she can't get it surgically removed. And she decided, she let a couple years went by and she decided to go back and get a second opinion and stuff like that. And after prayers and prayers and prayers of several people just asking, to heal her, to help her, to make this, go smoothly to where she won't be hurt, leave the kids behind, anything like that. She goes back yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. She went back yesterday to the doctor and the tumor's gone. Her tumor is gone. It's not there. So a lot of people, again, may just be like, oh, it's a coincidence. It can't be helped. But I don't see how that's just a coincidence, man. You look at a tumor. Most medical doctors tell you when a tumor just disappears, they're like, this is a miracle. I don't understand how this happened. There's been people who had cancer and was like, she only has 4 months to live, and then the family will pray. The daughter will go back and they'll be like, there's no sign of cancer. We can't explain this. So I want to let y'all know, man, prayer really does work. There is so much power in prayer. More than what we could ever imagine there to be. And all it simply takes is for you to get on your knees, humble yourself. Humble yourself in front of God and ask for help. And don't be afraid to ask someone else to pray with you, to pray for you. That's the whole point of prayer, is to when we come together, our prayers are so much stronger than just a prayer by ourselves. So prayer really does work, guys. It may not work right away, and sometimes the things you pray for may not come out the way you want it to. But there's reasons behind that you may not see. And that'll definitely be another video to talk to you guys about. But prayer's not always going to go the way you want it to. Prayer's not going to happen instantly. It's a thing that has to happen the way that it needs to happen. But prayer really does work. And God's mercy and love for us knows no bounds. He is more powerful than we could ever imagine. And there's nothing in this world, in this galaxy, in this lifetime, and anything that you could try to come up with, there's nothing that could stop him from doing what he wants to do. There's nothing that he cannot do. You just have to have faith and believe with all of your heart when you pray. So guys, hopefully this video can help to strengthen some people's faith. Maybe bring you back from wherever you're at because you thought that nobody was going to hear you anymore, because God can hear you. God's always listening. And hopefully this video can lift you up and help you to overcome whatever you're in. Remember, all it takes is one prayer. Love you guys, and God bless.